markets. Let's move on now. Joining us on the show, we've got Mayuresh Joshi of Angel Broking and Nuresh Mirani of Asian Market Securities. Gentlemen, good afternoon and thanks for joining in to take all our viewer queries and questions. So let's straight away get to it. We have the first viewer, Sushil Singhi, who's calling in from Kolkata, and he has certain investments in TD Power Systems, I believe. How can we help you, sir? बताइए क्या question है आपका?
मेरा प्रश्न है, टीडी पावर मैंने लिया था, आपके चैनल पर ही दिखाया गया था कि टीडी पावर जो है वो बहुत बढ़िया है और आपके ही किसी एंकर ने बताया था। तो मैंने 310 रुपए में 200 शेयर खरीदे थे और करीबन 4 महीना हो गया है इस बात को, और अभी तो बहुत नीचे आ गया है, तो अभी क्या करना चाहिए?
अच्छा, तो हाँ, इसका स्टॉक काफी करेक्ट हुआ है, बट आपको सर हम ये बताएंगे कि हमारे यहाँ जो हमारी टीम है और एंकर्स है वो कभी व्यू नहीं देते हैं। एक्सपर्ट्स की आपने राय सुनी होगी एंड ऑफ कोर्स वो तो यू आर फ्री टू मेक योर ओन जजमेंट कि आपको राय माननी है कि नहीं माननी है, बट यस, आपकी परचेज प्राइस से काफी नीचे आ चुका है टीडी पावर। Nuresh, what do you advise him? Should he try and be a little more patient? He's been holding for 4 months, or is it time to kind of bail out a bit?
So if we look at TD Power, technically it was holding around the supports of 260 to 280 for a long time, which has broken in the last few weeks. So technically it's in a downtrend, and if the investor does not have a really long-term view, I would suggest an exit at current levels or any rise to 240, 250. So unless the investor has a view of more than 1 to 2 years, I would suggest an exit at current levels.
Alright, then that's the view coming in on TD Power. The stock is corrected a goodish bit. A lot of long-term triggers, in fact, are still pending and still in the works. So let's see whether or not. But as Nuresh said, that maybe if it bounces to around 250 odd, you should look to get out of that counter. Let's get to our next caller. We have Anil who calls us from Vadodara. He has investments in L&T Finance. Hi Anil, good afternoon. What's your query? Alright, I think he's at. We have Anil with us. Anil?
हाँ
अनिल आपका सवाल क्या है? व्हाट्स योर क्वेरी?
65 रुपए के L&T फाइनेंस लिए थे मैंने 2000 शेयर।
ऑलराइट, और अनिल जी आप लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टर है?
हाँ, लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टर है।
ऑलराइट, Mayuresh, what's your take on L&T Finance holdings? I remember people talking about it being attractive at 80, at 70, at 60. Now in fact it's at around 51. He's a long term investor. Should he hang in there?
Afternoon, Nigel. I think for the convenience of the investor, I'll answer the question in Hindi.
Please.
तो clearly अगर हम देखेंगे L&T Finance Holdings का जो structure है, gross asset ratio थोड़ा deteriorate हो गया है पिछले कुछ quarters में। जो इनका rural portfolio है, specifically tractors और जो additional lending करते हैं for top-ups in tractor business, वहाँ पे थोड़ी दिक्कतें आ रही हैं, और क्योंकि बारिश अच्छी नहीं रही थी लास्ट 2 वर्षों में, मुझे लगता है I think वो slippages रहना I think काफी collective था। तो मुझे लगता है आई थिंक फार्म इनकम्स जो सेगमेंट है वहाँ पे थोड़ी दिक्कतें हैं कंपनी के लिए। जनरली अगर हम देखें तो आई थिंक जो स्प्रेड से कंपनी एंजॉय करती है, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर लेंडिंग बिजनेस ठीक ठाक चल रहा है, वहाँ पे आई थिंक क्रेडिट कॉस्ट्स भी काफ़ी स्टेबल है। हालांकि रिटेल बिजनेस में अगर हम देखें तो द शेयर ऑफ हाउसिंग लोन्स हैज़ मार्जिनली गॉन अप। जो माइक्रो फाइनेंसिंग का आर्म है उनका रिटेल पार्ट में, आई थिंक वहाँ भी हम थोड़ी सी स्टेबिलिटी देख रहे हैं, बट क्लियरली आई थिंक जो क्रेडिट कॉस्ट्स हैं वहाँ पे थोड़ी दिक्कतें आ रही है ऑन द रिटेल साइड। तो क्लियरली कंसोलिडेटेड पिक्चर देखें तो जो निम्स और स्प्रेड्स कंपनी एंजॉय करती है 5% के आसपास रहनी चाहिए। एसेट क्वालिटी प्रेशर शायद सिस्टम में कंटिन्यू हो, और इसकी वजह से L&T फाइनेंस होल्डिंग्स का जो एसेट क्वालिटी का एक स्ट्रक्चर है वो थोड़े स्ट्रेस में रह सकता है। इसलिए ऑन अ कंसोलिडेटेड बेसिस मुझे लगता है आई थिंक अगर आपके पास पेशेंस हो ऑफ मोर देन 15 मंथ्स 18 मंथ्स टू से द लीस्ट, आई थिंक आप स्टॉक में बने रह सकते हैं, बट स्टॉक एक रेंज में ही चलेगा। तो आई थिंक जैसे नाइजल बता रहे थे, हायर लेवल से स्टॉक नीचे ही आते जाता है, और अगर नीचे आता है तो कंसोलिडेट होता है। इसलिए एक लंबा नजरिया रखें, और अगर आपका 15 से 18 महीने का नजरिया ना हो तो यू कैन प्रॉब्ली लुक एट बेटर स्टॉक्स इन द मार्केट, यहाँ पे वैल्यूएशंस काफी अट्रैक्टिव हो गए।
All right, on that note, let's take a very quick break. Market's still down 1.6%. We'll take a break, come back and look at some stocks and also answer some more questions.
Welcome Welcome back then. We're seeing some selling pressure on Coal India. So just pull up the intraday chart. The Nifty is trying to defend that 7,100, 7,120 odd mark, and we are seeing banking stocks that are selling off. Now Coal India in fact has moved to the low point of the day. Just pull up a contribution chart, maybe pull up the Nifty contribution chart or even the Bank Nifty contribution chart. You'll see that HDFC Bank as well as ICICI Bank, they really are the big drags over there. So that's the Nifty chart up for you. We're down 110 points, 20 points coming because of ICICI Bank and HDFC Bank, and that's the Bank Nifty chart up for you. Nearly around 190 points, 180 points were lower because of ICICI Bank and HDFC Bank, and we're down 365 points. So close to around 50% of the fall is only because of those two heavyweights. You open the other two banks as well, the SBI as well as Axis Bank, and you'll see that close to around 75% of this fall is on the back of 70% of that fall is on the back of the top four banks. So just watch out on that front as well. The Bank Nifty clearly has been a big drag today, down more than 350 points. But let's get to our next query. Then we have Saurabh who calls us from New Delhi. He has investments in Hindalco. Hi Saurabh, good afternoon. How can we help you?
Hi sir, good afternoon. Sir, I am holding Hindalco at 123. I bought 500 shares somewhere between mid of the last year.
Okay.
So I'm incurring quite a loss now. So
Yeah.
what should I do? Like your stock experts.
True. Saurabh, just to get a quick understanding, you're in these shares for the longer term, I believe.
Yeah, I can wait.
Hold it for long. All right. And you've bought 300 shares. Would you be comfortable with allocating more funds, maybe buy another 100 shares? Would you have that kind of funds with you?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
ready to buy.
All right, let's try to help you out then on that front. Just to give you a background, Saurabh, we have base metals, so that's, you talk about aluminium, copper, etc., zinc. All those prices have fallen close to 20 to around 25 to 30% in the last 1 year. So clearly, Hindalco is one of the stocks that have got beaten down because what they are selling, the aluminium, that price particularly has fallen drastically. But let's get in Mayuresh. Mayuresh, stock is trading at around 0.3 times, 0.35 times price to book value. Unfortunately, he's got it around 120. Many people thought maybe 100 will get protected. Stock is still at around that 65 rupees. So two-part question: should he hang into it? That's one. And second, should he attempt averaging?
So clearly, Nigel, I think as you're rightly pointing out, the kind of weak business environment that you're probably seeing in terms of end realizations, either for aluminium or copper or zinc for that matter, I think those realizations are expected to remain soft over the next few quarters on multiple counts. I think what's happening with China, the LME inventory levels, they're at a pretty record high levels. And though production cuts have started happening in the recent few weeks, that is not going to justify the kind of demand contraction that we are probably witnessing in the end user industries. And that is a clear reflection in terms of how the pricing has panned out. So aluminium per ton is closer to that $1,500 odd mark, and it has corrected significantly. Even alumina prices are down significantly on a quarter-on-quarter and a year-on-year basis. So clearly, I think what has happened with Hindalco in terms of their capex, I think a large part of their capex specifically related to Novelis is largely over, and we are expecting huge amount of positive cash flows to start generating over the next few years. Again, I think the management is very, very hopeful in reducing the net debt to equity, specifically on its overseas operations and even on consolidated scale. Again, on Novelis itself, I think the management is hopeful of increasing the part of the auto component share to around 25% of the total revenues that Novelis generates. So I think those are long drawn out plans, but from an immediate medium term perspective, the pain related to realizations in terms of how demand and volume growth will pan out still persists. Though the ramp up has happened in Mahan as well as Aditya, and I think Utkal is working at optimal capacity, we still believe that the end realizations will still remain soft unless there is huge amount of spike either coming through from a demand perspective or realizations improving because of operating leverage. So clearly we are neutral at this point of time, but the investor probably needs to hold on for at least 2 to 3 years if he needs to have a positive traction and again expect or hope for the commodity cycle to turn for the better in the next few quarters.
All right, getting in some news on HCC. They've won an order. Stock, however, has turned completely flat, so there's not much of movement that's happening just around that 17.5 mark. That's HCC. Let's get some more questions going. We've got R. Narayan calling in from Thiruvananthapuram. He has investments in Camlin Fine. Sir, what's your question? Can you give us some more details?
Good afternoon, sir. I'm calling from Trivandrum. I have got 300 shares of Camlin special Camlin.
Yeah.
That I am holding for the last 3 months. Last 6 months actually, and my average price is 180 rupees. 180
rupees.
I want to know whether I should continue to hold on or average further. Maybe come down to 80 levels. That's why I called you.
Yeah, sir. Okay, you're still being brave enough, wondering if this is the time to average. What's your time horizon?
Another 6 months I can hold.
Another 6 months. Okay, not sure if this will actually perform in the next 6 months. Let's ask the experts. Mayuresh, it's come down very, very sharply, this stock, in the last couple of weeks and months, and I think he's bought it at a much, much higher price. Is averaging a sensible idea?
So if we look at Camlin Fine, over the last couple of years, the range has been closer to 75-80 has been a support zone, and 120 odd has been a resistance. So I believe this range could stay for quite some time, and unless the investor has a view of 1 to 2 years, I would suggest an exit whenever the stock bounces to 90 to 100 levels. And again, whenever it comes down to somewhere closer to 75-80 would be an entry point. But don't expect any great returns over the next 3 to 6 months. So suggest an exit at 90 to 100.
Okay, then that's about Camlin Fines. But let's focus on a frontline stock pull-up. Ambuja Cements, so that stock in fact was doing a relative outperformance. It was down only around 0.4% or around 0.5% in the last 15-20 minutes. Suddenly the stock has lost a good percent, and now it's down close to around 1.5%. Just take a look at the intraday chart. Coal India as well is moving swiftly towards the 300 mark. So just watch out for that stock. There's a lot of talk that in fact there could be a dividend that's coming through, or the likes, to give some kind of support to the government, as well as give some support in turn to the stock, but that's not really happening. And BHEL, it's been defending that 100 mark numerous times. It's been bouncing off there, but currently it's broken that level. It's at around 98 rupees, so that stock as well has moved to the low point of the day. We'll slip into a short break. We come back, we'll focus on the markets, and we'll answer all your queries. Stay tuned.
All right, the market is struggling. There's no two ways about that. And there's a lot of pressure in the mid-cap arena as well. A couple of stocks that Nigel was pointing out. Of course, there's Quick Heal, which is down 13%. I mean, no healing for this one stock ever since it's made its debut on the street. And then United Spirits is the one that's actually bucking the trend. It's actually up and about 3% up the last time we checked. Nigel, you were naming some others that caught your eye.
Yeah, that's right, Surbhi. And you take a look at it, United Spirits, today it's up 3% in a weak market. And you take a look at the last 10 days or the last 7 days, you'll see the stock has gained close to around 10%. So just pull up that stock as well. We're struggling to find winners, but let's try to pull up a few. Crompton Greaves should come up for you on the screen. Take a look at the move the stock has made in the last 10 minutes. It's recovered. Now it's in the green. It was trading in the red just 20 minutes back. You pull up Biocon as well. That's seen a smart up move. And you see NMDC as well. All sharp moves we're seeing on all these counters on a day when we're struggling to find winners. It's good to see at least a few stocks are bucking the trend.
Okay, so some interesting moves coming in out there. Let's quickly squeeze in one more question. Riaz Khan is calling in from Mumbai, and he has investments in, I think, the Tata Motors DVR. Hi Riaz, thanks for joining in. So the security that you're holding is going to become part of the Nifty 50 very soon, or should I say Nifty 51. But what's your question?
Yeah, my question is, the Tata Motors DVR, should I hold it tomorrow? Hold it for tomorrow, next, for 2 days only.
Oh, it's just a 2-day call, is it?
Yeah.
Why? What price did you buy it?
I bought it at 245.
245?
Yeah.
Okay, so you need an extremely short-term view. Mayuresh, let me ask you, technically he's only looking at the end of this week, I think.
So if we look at Tata Motors and Tata Motors DVR, both have made a double bottom closer to the recent low. So somewhere closer to 210 to 220 was a good double bottom for Tata Motors DVR, and the trend is up on the extreme short term. So in the near term there would be a target price, if he has a view of 2 to 3 days, would be a target price of 260, and given that the stock has already moved up a bit today, he can take the stop loss, which was earlier at 235, to closer to 244 and ride on to the move for the next 2 days.
All right, Mayuresh and Mayuresh, thank you so much for joining in and taking us through all the viewer questions today. And on that note, we wrap up this edition of Your Stocks. Thanks for watching. Market's still looking a little tentative, down 1.5%. Do stay tuned, because closing bell coming up next to carry the action forward.